there, this is World News coming to you live from Algiers with the latest from around the globe. Coming up right now, the headlines. Martyrs and injured reported in Israeli airstrikes on several areas across the Gaza Strip. UN officials warn the territory is facing the most dangerous phase of its humanitarian crisis, while Hamas says the occupation's crimes aim to dismantle all aspects of human life. Coming up tonight, Israeli airstrikes target Damascus as the Syrian Foreign Ministry reiterates Damascus's rejection of all forms of foreign interference in its internal affairs. Next, the Algerian president reaffirms his commitment to strengthening workers' gains, commanding the spirit of determination, supporting the country's economic capabilities. And in Sudan, at least 15 people killed in Rapid Support Forces drone strike on Kosti in areas of Darfur. General Al-Burhan praises the unity of Sudanese people in the face of war. Sudan's Doctors Network reports that 70% of hospitals across the country are out of service. Hello and welcome again to your nightly news. First, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza announced on Wednesday that 35 Palestinians were killed, 109 others injured and transferred to hospitals across the Strip in the past 24 hours. In a statement, the ministry reported that the death toll since the resumption of aggression on the Strip has risen to 2,308 martyrs and 5,973 wounded. The ministry also noted that the overall toll of the Zionist aggression on Gaza has climbed to 52,400 martyrs and 118,014 wounded since October 7, 2023. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees warned of the dire situation in the Gaza Strip after the specter of famine loomed over the Palestinians in a horrific manner. Jonathan Fowler, Director of Communications for UNRWA, confirmed in a press statement on Wednesday that Gaza is entering its most dangerous phase due to the ongoing war of extermination waged by the occupation.
It is difficult to find words to describe the current situation in Gaza. It resembles the horrors of Judgment Day and lacks the most basic levels of humanity. The stifling Israeli blockade on the Gaza Strip is the result of the international community's failure to address it, and it is a true scandal. I consider the famine in Gaza entirely an Israeli political decision.
And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres emphasized that humanitarian aid to Palestinians in the Gaza Strip is non-negotiable. In a post on the X platform on Wednesday, Guterres stated that for nearly 2 months, Israel has barred the entry of food, fuel, medicine, and commercial supplies into Gaza, depriving over 2 million people of life-saving assistance. He added that relief programs must be approved and facilitated. The Palestinian resistance movement Hamas has condemned the Israeli occupation's systematic crimes against Palestinian workers, accusing it of deliberately undermining every aspect of human life. In a statement issued on Wednesday on the occasion of International Workers' Day, Hamas called on global human rights and humanitarian organizations to assume their responsibilities in exposing the escalating violations and crimes committed against Palestinian workers.
The occupation's systemic crimes against Palestinian workers are a deliberate effort to destroy all aspects of human life. These actions constitute flagrant violations of international law and require urgent intervention from the international community and the United Nations to stop them. We reaffirm our rejection of all forms of targeting aimed at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees by the occupation and its backers. These efforts are a desperate attempt to erase the agency as a witness to the displacement and uprooting of our people. We call on all countries to continue supporting UNRWA so it can fulfill its humanitarian responsibilities. We also urge human rights and humanitarian organizations worldwide to take responsibility in exposing the occupation's escalating crimes and violations against Palestinian workers.
The Syrian news agency Sana reported that Israeli occupation forces launched airstrikes on Wednesday afternoon targeting the Damascus countryside. Meanwhile, Syrian media outlets noted heavy Israeli aircraft activity in the skies and highlighted that UN vehicles entered the area accompanied by a security force. Syria also affirmed its categorical rejection of what it described as all forms of foreign interference in its internal affairs. A statement by the Syrian Foreign Ministry clarified that Damascus considers the recent calls made by outlaw groups, which have participated in acts of violence on Syrian territory to demand a so-called international protection, as illegitimate and completely unacceptable.
These actions represent a direct threat to the country's unity and undermine national efforts aimed at restoring security and stability throughout the country. The Syrian Arab Republic reiterates its full affirmation that all national issues are addressed solely through national mechanisms and categorically rejects any foreign dictates or interference, as Syria's sovereignty is not subject to discussion or negotiation.
And Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune affirmed that International Workers' Day is an occasion to renew the nation's commitment to the path of national development in order to persevere the independence of decision-making and contribute to building a strong and diversified economy. In his message marking International Workers' Day, President Tebboune also stressed that the state will work to strengthen and build upon the gains achieved by workers in the country, aiming to reach a level that reassures them and guarantees a satisfactory standard of living.
It's an opportunity to renew our determination to continue the national edification process, to preserve the independence of decision-making and the nation's capabilities and wealth, and to contribute to the development of a strong and diversified economy. We celebrate this occasion with the same determination to continue strengthening the gains achieved in the labor world after honoring the commitments to increase workers' salaries at unprecedented rates through a broad review of salary grids, compensation systems, retirement and pension benefits, and significant alleviation of tax burdens. These gains will be enhanced and completed in accordance with the commitments we have undertaken to reach a level that reassures workers and provides them with a satisfactory living environment.
In the same context, Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune reaffirmed in his message on International Workers' Day the state's commitment to persevering or to preserving the dignity of its citizens by enriching or enshrining the protection of their rights within legal texts with the aim of ensuring job stability.
Confirming the state's commitment to ensuring the dignity of citizens and enshrining the protection of the rights of citizens within legal texts related to career paths and retirement, whether those that have been enacted, including most recently the extension of maternity leaves and the reduction of the retirement age for teachers in all three levels of education, or those that we have directed the government to prepare, review, and enrich with the aim of ensuring job stability and continuing measures to deter infringement on purchasing power by combating speculation, extortion, and greed.
President Tebboune stated that International Workers' Day is an opportunity to honor the sacrifices made by Algerian workers and trade unionists during the Liberation War and throughout the hardships of the national tragedy.
This occasion is a renewed opportunity to commemorate with you the sacrifices of the revolutionary heroes during the blessed Liberation Revolution. We take pride in the loyalty of workers and unionists in Algeria from the founding of the General Union of Algerian Workers on February 24, 1956, to the ordeal of the national tragedy, which witnessed the resistance of workers, women and men during that tough period to the barbaric and destructive machine of terrorism and their courageous and brave defense of the nation and its institutions.
President Abdelmajid Tebboune noted that the sacrifices of workers and trade unionists will continue to be remembered across generations, inspiring in them a sense of patriotism and honor.
These women and men, among workers and unionists, will continue to be remembered by generations who draw inspiration from their sacrifices for the meaning of patriotism and honor, as was evidenced by the struggles of the two martyrs, Aissat Idir and Abdelhaq bin Hamouda, and their comrades, martyrs of the glorious liberation revolution and martyrs of national duty, may Allah have mercy on their soul.
Also, President Abdelmajid Tebboune concluded his message by praising the spirit of challenge that drives the country's economic capabilities and seizes opportunities for success.
To this generation of our youth, eager to seize opportunities for success with their creative initiatives, I extend my greetings and renew my unlimited encouragement to them, appreciating their will to challenge and renew support for the country's economic capabilities. I congratulate the workers, women and men, on International Workers' Day, wishing them success wherever they may be in all sectors and in various activities that produce growth and development in our beloved Algeria.
The Algerian head of state, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, met today with the president of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Ibrahim Ghali, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. The same source indicated that the two leaders discussed bilateral relations between their countries. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, also received Ghana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. The same source indicated that the meeting was attended by Boualam Boualam, Chief of Staff of the Presidency, and Ahmed Attaf, Minister of State and Minister of Foreign Affairs.
I had a positive meeting with the Algerian president, who offered us a warm welcome. The conversation was fruitful. I conveyed to the president the cordial greetings from his brother, President John Mahama. On this occasion, President Tebboune instructed me to deliver an invitation to President Mahama to visit Algeria before the end of this year, and he will gladly accept it. I would like to express my gratitude to my brother, the Algerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, for the fruitful discussions we held. We signed a visa exemption agreement for holders of diplomatic service passport, and we will soon sign a second agreement that will include holders of ordinary passport, with the aim of intensifying trade.
And Ghana's foreign minister emphasized the importance of adopting diplomatic solutions to the crises facing the Sahel region, recalling the struggle of Algeria and Ghana against colonialism.
We believe that convergence of visions, diplomacy and negotiations are the best way forward. Instead of violence and war, it is better to adopt a diplomatic solution to resolve the crisis in the Sahel region. We have received strong support from the Algerian president that they will support President Mahama's initiative to conduct dialogue with the countries that have committed. We fought together against colonialism. The Algerian flag was raised and the Algerian national anthem was played abroad for the first time in Ghana. Frantz Fanon and the first president worked hand in hand. We participated in the creation of the Organization of African Unity, and we also worked long to establish non-aligned movement. We will continue to work together to create a world that prioritizes humanity, love and trust.
And Algeria will host the 38th Arab Interparliamentary Union Conference on May the 3rd and May the 4th. The Algerian news agency confirmed that the conference will be held at the Abdelatif Rahal International Conference Center in Algiers under the theme, The Role of the Arab Interparliamentary Union Amid Regional and International Changes. And on this Labor Day, trade unions are once again in the spotlight, not just as defenders of workers' rights, but as powerful symbols of resistance and inspiration for nations still seeking liberation. Hossam Barkan has more.
Trade union diplomacy, or union struggle, another face of the confrontation with forces of hegemony and occupation. Union work has always been one of the leading fronts in resisting occupation. At its forefront, trade unions have played a vital role. The General Union of the Algerian Workers, UGTA, with its martyrs, provided an inspiration model for various liberation movements and nations yearning for independence. Less than 2 years after the outbreak of the Algerian War of Liberation, the UGTA was born under the leadership of Aissat Idir and his comrades, making Union struggle, both on the ground and diplomatically, an essential pillar of the resistance. The issue of Western Sahara, the last remaining colony in Africa, enters its 50th year. Unlike other African nations, it continues to face one of the ugliest forms of modern colonialism, the suppression of the Sahrawi people and the plundering of their resources. Here, Union diplomacy played a vital role, exposing the Moroccan occupier and its practices. The Union of Workers of Saqia al-Hamra and Wad al-Dahab continues its supportive march, advocating and defending the Sahrawi cause. It draws on the experience of the UGTA and other African labor unions. Their convictions is stronger than ever that union activism is no less important than diplomatic and political action. They call for ending cooperation with companies exploiting Sahrawi resources in collusion with Moroccan occupier and stand against attempts to infiltrate the African consciousness with misleading propaganda. Across Africa, various regions and countries have witnessed vibrant union struggles against different forms of occupation, from Industrial Workers' Union and the West African Trade Union formed in 1919 to Modern Tax Workers' Union in Sierra Leone, the Union of the Defense of the People in Kenya, the Bataka League in Uganda, and the Brown Shepherd of Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, to Kenya and South Africa. These movements gave rise to some of the greatest political figures and leaders of national liberation movements fighting for independence from colonial domination across the African continent.
The Polisario Front's representative and MINURSO coordinator with the United Nations, Sidi Muhammad Ammar, held talks with the UN Under-Secretary General for Political and Peacebuilding Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo, on the current state and future of the UN-sponsored peace process in the Sahrawi territories. According to the Sahrawi news agency on Wednesday, the Sahrawi diplomat briefed DiCarlo at the UN headquarters in New York on the Polisario Front's position regarding all matters related to the peace process and its prospects. The two also discussed the efforts of the UN Secretary-General's personal envoy, Staffan de Mistura, in Western Sahara aimed at reviving the stalled peace process, according to the Polisario, due to the Moroccan-imposed obstacles designed to entrench its illegal occupation of Sahrawi territories. And the head of the Moroccan Observatory Against Normalization, Ahmed Wahman, stated that the Moroccan regime is using public funds to host Zionists. He affirmed in his remarks that the Makhzen authorities persist in suppressing all events supporting the Palestinian cause and rejecting normalization, showing complete disregard for the voice of the street or the Moroccan street while rushing to welcome Zionists in what he described as a shameful scene.
The ban imposed by authorities targeted a purely academic event simply because it addressed Palestine. Meanwhile, the red carpet is rolled out for Zionist figures whose hands are stained with Palestinian blood, whose actions desecrate sacred sites, and who mock the Quran from Al-Aqsa pulpit, turning it into a political stage. One such figure, who once called the call to prayer the barking of the Muhammad's dogs, was hosted in Morocco with honor and public funds running into the millions. Yet, a peaceful academic initiative at a university is silenced.
And in other news, 15 people, including 4 members of the Sudanese army, were killed in drone strikes carried out by the Rapid Support Forces across several areas in Kosti, White Nile State, southern Sudan. A military source from the Sudanese army confirmed to media outlets on Wednesday that the RSF attack targeted the Army's 18th Division headquarters and a fuel supply station in Kosti. And in a separate incident, a drone strike by the RSF targeted a displacement center in central Al-Fashir, North Darfur State, killing 3 civilians and injuring others. And the chairman of Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, said that the war united all Sudanese with the state and its army and that the armed forces will not let down its people, the martyrs of the battle of dignity. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan emphasized in press statements that this war is not against specific races and ethnicities, as the rapid support forces are promoting. He added that the armed forces are national forces that do not recognize partisanship or narrow affiliations, and that they unite all the people of Sudan.
This battle united the Sudanese and made them stand with each other against the aggression that is killing them and destroying their economy and infrastructure. Therefore, we must appreciate this popular stand and all the hopes that those who were crying but were providing aid not only to Burhan or not only to the armed forces but to the nation. And God willing, we will not let them down. We will not let down any man whose hope was in the armed forces.
In an exclusive statement to All24 News, Sudan Doctors Network revealed that 70% of the country's hospitals are now out of service due to systematic attacks by the rapid support forces on the healthcare system across Khartoum and other war-affected regions. Sudan Doctor Network spokesperson Tasneem Al-Amin said damages to the health sector have exceeded $13 billion.
تسببت الحرب في دمار شبه كامل للقطاع الصحي.
The war has caused near total destruction of the healthcare sector, with at least 70% of hospitals rendered out of service due to systemic attacks by the rapid support forces in Khartoum and other states, and the conversion of medical facilities into military barracks. The Sudanese Doctors Network has estimated the losses to exceed $13 billion. Specialized medical centers have been completely shut down in both Khartoum and Algeria states, while RSF's control over medical supplies has led to the looting of the country's largest strategic stockpile of medicine.
مخزون استراتيجي للدواء بالبلاد.
And the head of Sudan's Transitional Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, issued a decision on Wednesday appointing Ambassador Dafallah al-Hajj Ali Osman as Minister of Cabinet Affairs, tasked with carrying out the duties of the Prime Minister. Al-Burhan also approved a cabinet decision appointing Ambassador Omar Muhammad Ahmed Sadiq as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Dr. Tuhami Zain Hajjar as Minister of Education, according to a statement from the Sovereignty Council. It's been 100 days since Donald Trump's second term, and the U.S. is already riding a wave of turmoil packed with executive orders, headline-grabbing policy moves, economic uncertainty, and growing tensions on the world stage. Marwa Blaiwer has the report.
President Donald Trump has reached the 100-day mark since returning to the White House, a period defined by sweeping executive orders, economic disruption, and global uncertainty. Since January, Trump has signed over 140 executive actions, more than any president in the same time frame. Among the most controversial, the return of Schedule F, enabling the dismissal of thousands of federal employees, prompting concerns over politicizing the civil service. Economically, Trump imposed blanket tariffs, 10% on all imports, with some on Chinese goods reaching 145%. While he promises long-term gains, markets remain volatile and consumer confidence is slipping. On immigration, stricter enforcement has driven down broad border crossings, but triggered lawsuits and renewed criticism over human rights. Internationally, Trump has distanced Washington from NATO and long-standing allies. The U.S. has withdrawn from both the World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Agreement, drawing concern from global partners. His meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also stirred backlash after Trump repeated claims that Ukraine initiated the war, casting doubt on U.S. commitments to ending global conflicts. Observers say Trump's first 100 days mark a strategic pivot toward a more isolationist and unilateral America. With over 3 years to go, the long-term impact of his second term is still unfolding, but already reverberating far beyond Washington.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for tonight's program. Thanks for following us and have a great night.